Welcome to this Kotlin Multiplatform world with Compose, part 2, adding a web app. On the previous episode, we've added a desktop application. On this one, we're going to follow the same process and add a web app. Just copy paste desktop app and call it web app. And now you have the web application. Now it's time to open the settings.gradle file and add to include the web application. Once added, synchronize. Once again, we're going to take advantage of being on video mode and just fast forward all of this process. Otherwise, we would spend several minutes just looking at this video, waiting for the project to compile. As you can see, we now have 3 projects: Android, desktop, and web app. And we now need to edit web app to be a web application. So let's start by removing unnecessary files like the resource folder, the theme folder, and in this case the UI folder. And let's update the Gradle file for web app. So this one is configured for desktop. We're going to remove all of this and the import that's no longer needed. And now add a new Kotlin target for GS. We're going to use the IR compiler since it's the latest version, and we could use legacy, for instance, or ER. We're going to follow ER because it's the latest training and it's going to be the future. So JetBrains is investing heavily on this IR compiler. Adding the Compose libraries for the web. And this is necessary, this after evaluate, because there is a bug with the current configuration and we manually need to define the Node.js root extension to use the Webpack 4.00. Of course, we currently don't have autocomplete and we're going to manually import the Node.js root extension so the project will compile. Don't worry, we'll get the autocomplete, but for that we need, as you saw in the previous episode, to make an invalidate cache and restart, and we're just going to do it on the end, just so we don't keep synchronizing the project over and over again. Looking once again at the Gradle file, you can see that the source set says that we're using GS main. To avoid manually saying where the files and resource files are, we're just going to rename GVM main to GS main. It's the current naming. Now it's time to add the resource folders where you're going to add the files needed by the web, for instance the HTML files. Let's start by adding index.html. This is going to be a really simple web page, so we're just going to define a couple of tags, the title, and the script that it's going to load. This is important, the script name corresponds to the project name. I have to confess that I spent some time because I was calling it Unsplash Web App, and you have got a generated file Unsplash Web App, but no, it corresponds to the project name that you're giving. Otherwise, we'll have a 404 when you try to run the index.html. It's now time to update the main.kt file that was using the desktop application code to use the one focused on the web. So in this case, we're going to follow a simple approach, and although it's still on Compose, we're going to call div to send greetings. However, you can see that the imports here are still referring to desktop, and according to the IDE, everything is still fine. We're going to go with the old method and just click on invalidate cache and restart so we can recover autocomplete and see which functions need to be imported. And we're almost there, it's finally compiling. That's it. So no longer desktop, so we're going to remove these libraries, and just by pressing Alt Enter, we're going to import these new ones. There is a bit of difference on this text function. On Android, it requires the text argument. Here, you don't need to edit, just send the text that you want to show. Let's try to run the project and let's see if everything is working fine. I'm hoping to see a hello web on my web page. And that's it. Hello web. Thank you for watching this part 2 of Kotlin Multiplatform and Compose. On the next one, we're going to share the UI. Once again, I'm going to have my YouTuber moment and say that you can always subscribe my channel to see when the videos are being released. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me on Twitter @cfonsmota. Stay safe and see you on the next episode.